welcome to the special meeting of the Albion City Council, Monday, November 26, 2018. If you have a cell phone, I ask that you place it on silent. I call this meeting to order, and we will begin with a moment of silence. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk Domingo, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Barnes. Reed. Here. Brown.
Here.
Lawler. Spicer.
Here.
French.
Here.
And Mayor Brown.
Here. Just a point of order here. Councilmember Barnes is out of town. I guess he asked to be on the phone. Okay, he is on the phone, so we probably could put him on the mic. Okay, sorry about that. There are no presentations, public hearings. Item A, Industrial Development District, Minerals Technology, Inc., which was formerly known as American Colloid Company. I'm going to open that up. Okay. Is there any public comment? We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes only. No more than 3 minutes, and to the issue at hand. Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I'll ask for a clarification on that. Only 3 minutes during public comments on in a public hearing?
Yes.
That's a waste. Well, we'll try it. Okay. I'm going to hope the council's citizens of Albion and the representatives of Mineral Technologies will forgive my uninformed ignorance and knee-jerk questions for what's been presented to us this evening. I admit to having no more knowledge of high finance or big business dealings than most of the people in this room, which include people on both sides of the podium. But as a layperson, I do have a number of questions that I'd like to get some clarification on from the representatives. I'm sure I won't be able to get them all in 3 minutes, but I'll lay out a few and just leave the list of questions here for the representative. Why do you need to have a separate category to be named an industrial development district for your project? Number two, as property descriptions can be confusing to the best of us, I will ask simply, are you taking up all the property from Austin Avenue south to the tracks and west of Albion Street that is commonly known to the citizens as the old Malleable site? Three, the property descriptions also seem to include McCullough Park at the corner of Austin and Albion. What are your short and long-term plans for this parcel? In your letter dated September 10, 2018 to Mr. Prees of the EDC, you say in the first paragraph that you wish to invest up to $8.9 million to rebuild your existing facility that is on land that is leased from the CCLB. In the last sentence of that section, you say the company plans to acquire an adjacent parcel of land to the existing location for the future development options and to construct a completely new facility on the existing site. Does all that boil down to you plan to buy the old Malleable site? On page 3 of your letter, right under the table that you provided, you state, there are currently 11 employees at the Albion facility. The rebuilt facility is expected to retain all current employees. Does that mean there are plans for more jobs? There are no plans for more jobs in Albion at the end of $8.9 million. If that is not true, when can we expect to see more employment opportunities? Number 8, in additional comments, you make it a point to saying you plan to purchase Parcel B from the CCLB for $135,000, which is adjacent to the existing Albion facility land. Does that mean you are not purchasing the land you are now on? Number 9, once this is all said and done, when and what can the citizens of Albion expect to see as a return on the whole thing, dollar-wise that is? And finally, number 10, when you finally decide to shut the facility down and leave, as all will do, what kind of polluted pollution of land, water table, and buildings should the citizens of Albion be expected to be stuck with. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment this evening on public hearing A? Okay. Seeing none, I will close that. Okay, so on public hearing item A, I'm going to have some discussion among council to bring us up to speed. There is no representation. Is there any representation from American Colloid or the EDC? Okay. Okay. From EDC?
American Colloid.
It's not a good look. Councilman Reed?
Were they invited to come in and talk to us about this?
Yes. Councilmember Spicer?
Thank you. You were informed by the EDC director earlier, I believe, that they were going to have a representative here tonight, so.
And
Are
they
you
may
able
think
to-
it's at 7.
I'm sorry?
They may think it's at 7.
Hi.
How you doing?
My name is Caitlin Berard. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator for the AEDC, and we were told the meeting tonight was at 7 p.m. So I don't necessarily, I wasn't planning on presenting tonight, but I could answer some basic questions about what industrial development districts are or tax incentives by the state. If you had any available, it's a law. It's called PA 198. It's from 1974, and it's a law by the state of Michigan saying that we can provide a certain amount of incentives, and it's all limited. You can't go over 50% over 12 years, type of things to attract businesses not only to the state of Michigan, but attract them from different cities. So American Colloid has been in the city for a really long time, and they're going to create a new plant. The plant that they currently have isn't functionable to what they want to continue doing. And unfortunately, they were going through this process of, we were just one of a large handful of sites. And we have 11 jobs here in Albion that we wanted to retain. And one of the incentives that we said we wanted to have was, that we would provide support for them, that you're going to invest back into the city, and we want to retain our employees here because we don't want to lose those 11 jobs. We've been working with them for quite a while on it. Thankfully, they were willing to offer their incentive and their investment back into the site. The site is currently leased by the Calhoun County Land Bank. They're not taking all of it. It's just a portion that they're going to be leasing while they're doing this investment project. The industrial development site is what you have to establish before you give it a tax abatement. And it's just part of the state law process. That way, not everybody can apply for a tax abatement and surprise us, but by establishing the district first, it then allows us to kind of have an evaluation process afterwards to decide how long we can give the tax incentive for or how much we want to, only, like I said, up to that 50% or that 12-year basis.
So we did receive a letter from the EDC president, Amy Praise, and one of the, I guess I kind of echo the public comment, because I know it's a question that I've had, and a question that the administration has asked. Basically, what's the thinking regarding the, because my understanding, like you're saying, is basically they're on a site, they're going to maintain, they're trying to maintain or establish ownership of the site that has possible contamination, and then they're trying to expand to a new site adjacent to it. But are there any plans in the work to address the contamination issue? And then has there been any discussions about increased employment and the impact on the community?
And I apologize, I'm not specific to this project.
Okay.
The tax abatement doesn't limit any of that, though.
Okay.
The tax abatement just says that we want to retain the jobs that we have here, and that investment that you're going to make regardless of the site you pick, we want the investment to stay here. In the process afterwards, those kind of questions for the type of land, process afterwards would be a partnership with the Calhoun County Land Bank. But I apologize, they were probably informed it was 7 o'clock too.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So I looked at the notice of public hearing, and it is noticed for 7 p.m. So, you know who, you said you came tonight and you weren't prepared to present, but do you know who is prepared to present at 7?
Krista Edwards from the Calhoun County Land Bank and the plant manager from American Quillite.
Thank you.
If the public hearing is noticed at 7, then I don't think you can act on this until 7. But at least I'm looking at the agenda, and the agenda says 6.
And the agenda was probably what's supposed to. Okay, Councilman French.
I would ask that we postpone discussion on this until 7 o'clock this evening.
That's fine.
To allow, or to table this until another time, because I think, given the disparities in time starts,
Yeah.
we really can't take action. So,
And then I would like to have a representative
absolutely.
from
I'd
the-
appreciate that.
I
Yeah,
support the motion to
postpone it.
postpone this until 7 p.m.
Cool.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
We have, whoa, thank you. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say yes? Yes. Opposed? Okay, thank you. So we're going to do that. And we probably, since these are all, since these are all related to that particular issue, I would accept another motion to do that.
So moved.
Is there
Second.
okay, move a second. All those in favor of postponing the items under public hearing to later in the agenda after 7, say yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? Okay, so we have moved the public hearing items until 7. Public comments, persons addressing the city council, we ask that you limit your comments to agenda items only and to no more than 3 minutes. We ask that you observe proper decorum. Please state your name and address. Are there any agenda public comments this evening?
Not allowed to write.
No. I'll give it to Colin. Is there any public comment on the agenda this evening? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent calendar. Consent calendar. Approval of regular session minutes from November 5th. Is there a motion?
Gary.
So moved.
Support.
Can you vote? Okay. All those, any opposed? Okay, so we've approved the consent calendar.
Point of order, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
We didn't officially say yes to, I know you asked if anybody was opposed, and there were none.
Okay.
But you never.
I'm sorry. I should say a point of order. Councilmember Barnes has called in. We're trying to determine how to, the extent of his participation. I know when I called in, I didn't vote, so.
Well, I guess I'll say this. So your council rules are on for tonight that address that issue.
No.
I'm sorry, for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So as of right now, you don't have a rule either way.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So can council vote tonight whether or not to allow Councilmember Barnes to vote or not?
I think that's part of your council rules. I don't know. I
have every right to vote. Gary has done it from the phone. Cullen has.
Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So what I'm asking Attorney Harkness is outside of adopting our council rules, which are on the agenda for tomorrow. What do you suggest legally for us to address this issue tonight?
Well, what I informed the mayor of earlier today is there's without question Michigan case law that says you can attend a meeting by phone. There is pending legislation about whether or not you need to be present to vote, but it is not enacted into law yet. given that there's no case law or statutes or AG opinions either way, that say whether or not, I mean, I think you can address it as part of your rules. So given that you're not dealing with the rules until tomorrow, I think you're just going to have to decide tonight whether or not you're going to.
I one comment before Councilmember French. So there was on one occasion, and not during my time as mayor, when I was a council member, where I participated in discussion, but I did not vote. And the rules that you drafted that's going to be before us tomorrow says basically the same thing. You can participate in discussion but can't vote. I do know the rules allow us to suspend the rules and do that, and I think we have enough votes if the council can come to a consensus to actually put a rule in place this evening to do that. Yeah. So, Councilmember French.
I would move that this council allow Councilmember Barnes to vote on pertinent issues in today's meeting. Since we have no case law, we've not yet approved the new rules that are being presented for tomorrow. I don't think we're setting a precedent. It will make his participation less loud.
Okay, so well, basically, I guess I'm trying to.
It's a motion.
Just give me 1 second.
Don't get to talk about it until it's seconded.
Is an appeal to point of order that I can rule on, I believe, and then it can be appealed because there's no rule in place.
Well,
and it's a parliamentary thing.
A motion has been made. It must be seconded before discussion.
Yeah.
Second.
But I did call a point of order, so I was going to rule on that. But I'll allow a motion. There's a second. Is there any?
How is me making a motion?
No, I had done a point. I had called a point of order. Yeah.
Before I made the motion.
Because he was, yeah.
Got it.
So,
Thought you were calling.
and that's why I was asking the attorney. So what's happening is we have a council member who is not physically with us. I know that in certain boards, like school boards throughout the state, they do allow people to participate and vote. That hasn't been the practice here, and we're about to address it tomorrow. So, and there's no. I know there's a requirement to vote, but the person's not here. So,
say that again.
There's a requirement from the charter for us to vote on things that we don't. Anything that we don't have a direct or indirect financial interest in, we're required to vote.
Correct.
But there is a sense in which
the issue is that you can attend a meeting by phone, but it's like a gray area as to whether or not your vote has to be cast in person or can be done remotely. There's, as far as I can tell, there's no, like I said, AG opinions or case law that addresses that narrow issue, which is why I think there's a pending bill in the legislature that has cleared the House, but it is in committee in the Senate right now. So, which the legislation, by the way, is to preclude it.
To what? I'm sorry.
To preclude it. To mandate.
prohibit.
Okay. Well,
but it is not a law yet. Right. It is just a bill.
The other question I have is, would a simple majority of council be able to set a rule like that at this point?
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, it's not an existing rule, so you're not suspending any rules of council. So I think a simple majority is probably, to determine whether or not how you're gonna proceed tonight.
Okay. Councilmember Brown and Councilmember French.
Actually,
Did you have a comment?
Councilmember
Reed.
5 minutes doing this.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, whether we do it either way, with me, it does not matter. But we have put a whole lot on our plates that should have been left for the next council. And push that through.
Is that
so I see nothing
point of order?
wrong with him. I don't care. I'm just saying.
Are you addressing?
We have discussed a lot of things. You keep putting things to this.
Point of order, Mayor.
Okay. Point of order. Yes. Are you addressing Councilmember French's motion regarding whether or not that's the person? Yeah. This is not a time for statements. So. Councilmember Brown, Councilmember French.
Thank you, Mayor. So My thought is this: we have council rules that we are set to adopt tomorrow that says the exact opposite of the motion that's on the floor right now. So I ask that we be consistent. If we're going to allow somebody to be absent and vote by phone tonight, then it needs to be the same tomorrow, or vice versa. I also think that I don't understand why this is a last-minute request. I mean, it would have been professional and helpful had council known this before getting here tonight at the start of the meeting, to know that Councilmember Barnes would be appearing by phone and be requesting to vote. So I'm very disappointed that these plans were not set in motion prior to today. I feel like he's missed the last 2 meetings. He's been excused. Councilmember Lawler is absent tonight as well. If you want to be here and you want a voice and you want to be heard, then you need to be present. If you know you're not going to be present and you want to make arrangements like this ahead of time, it needs to be done ahead of time. So that's my position. Thank you.
Councilmember French.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a stake in this argument. I think that the particular rule that we're talking about tomorrow, has not been voted on or agreed on by the committee that put the council rules together over the last 2 years. So us precluding a yes vote on that particular council rule tomorrow is a little premature, I think. With regard to whether Councilman Barnes can attend and vote, again, if it was a regular council meeting, I think I would agree with you, Councilwoman Brown, but this is a special meeting, and we've got lots of special meetings, and I think for Councilman Barnes to be wanting to be engaged, but because of prior plans prevents him from being here, because we called this special meeting, 6 days ago? I think that it doesn't set a precedent, because I don't think we have a precedent to set. I think it's polite. He's interested in being engaged in our meeting. We should allow him to be engaged in the meeting, and we can decide tomorrow if we agree with what our mayor has put into our council rules tomorrow, because just because it's written down doesn't mean that we approve it. So,
well, okay, I will say, I have one thing to say so whether it's ordinances, resolutions, or the council rules, the democratic process with council is that a majority rules.
Absolutely.
So I think if a majority can pass a rule tomorrow, they can definitely make a decision tonight about whether he should participate.
We just need 4 votes.
Yes.
Point of order, you're being interrupted, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please let me finish. So I have to agree with Councilmember Brown that even with the last regular meeting we had, well, put it this way, since the election, Councilmember Barnes has not participated in any deliberations of the council. I think it's appropriate to allow him to participate in discussions, but at no time, in my memory, and even the one case where I had to do it, did I actually vote. So I'm willing and open to have him be able to discuss, but not to vote. So there's been did you have a comment, Councilmember Brown? Okay.
Just as a point of clarification, you asked me if a simple majority can pass that rule tonight, and when I say majority, I mean a majority of
4
seated council, so you need 4.
Yes, okay. And if we don't have 4, then the motion fails. So, Councilman Brown, did you have a?
No, thank you.
Okay, so we're going to, I'm going to be voting no, but we'll have a roll call vote, and we'll do it that way. Clerk Domingo.
This
is to allow him to vote.
He doesn't get to vote on this motion because it affects him directly.
I just want to make sure.
Whether or not
So we're voting on the motion made by Councilmember French and seconded by Councilmember Reed to allow Mr. Barnes to be not physically present in the meeting, but to be able to vote, but not be here.
Councilmember Reed?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
Spicer?
No.
French?
Yes.
And Mayor Brown?
No. The motion fails for lack of a majority. Councilmember French.
Not to put a monkey wrench into it, I move that we not allow Councilman Barnes to vote in this council meeting.
Second.
This is for you.
Is there a second? Okay. Is there any discussion? Okay. We'll do a roll call vote, please. Yeah. That he cannot. Yeah.
Just point of order. Councilman Barnes is on the phone and he could not hear Cullen's legal opinion, and he's requesting that he be provided that again from Cullen. If you don't mind, because he said he didn't get it. I just explained.
He's going to wait because we're in a discussion, and I'll have him tell him after we finish voting. Clerk Domingo, will you please call the roll?
Okay, this is to not let him vote?
Yeah, this is in his specific, but any absent member.
Okay. Councilmember Brown?
Yes.
Spicer?
Yes.
French?
No.
Reed?
No.
And Mayor Brown?
Yes.
So,
Okay. What?
so what I wanted to point out, because we don't have case law, we've now voted neither yes nor no for our first precinct council member to vote. So procedurally, what that means is we keep doing this until such time as we get 4 votes. And so I'm just asking the council to consider one more time the opportunity to allow our duly elected, appointed representative for Precinct 1, regardless of his past attendance or engagement with the city council since the election, to be allowed the right to vote.
Okay. So I'm going to make a ruling on the point of order, and to say a point of order and say we're not going to allow that. You have the right to appeal my ruling, but I've made a ruling on that point of order because it's disrupting the meeting. Councilmember Barnes should have figured that out before we got to the meeting to do that. It really is unfair to the public and unfair to the council. So you can appeal my ruling if you'd like to.
I will appeal that ruling.
Okay. It has been appealed. This is the ruling I made that Councilmember Barnes will not be allowed to vote as he is not physically present in the meeting, and there's no precedent for that. We'll do a roll call vote on that ruling. Yes will be to overturn my ruling. No will be to sustain my ruling. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Spicer?
No.
French?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Brown?
No.
And Mayor Brown?
No. We're going to move on to items for individual discussion. Yes. That means your appeal fails. You need 4.
But you need 4 votes.
No.
And 3.
No. If how appeals work is the chair makes a ruling on point of order, and that can be appealed to the council. You need 4 votes to overturn the ruling of the chair. There were not 4 votes to overturn the ruling, so my ruling is sustained. We're going to move on to item A under individual discussion. Items for individual discussion. Request approval resolution 2018-28 to exempt the city of Albion from requirements for the Michigan Publicly Funded Healthcare Insurance Contribution Act from January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2019. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second? This is what we... Oh,
Yeah.
Attorney Harkness.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so this is our annual resolution to exempt the city from the Michigan Publicly Funded Health Insurance Contribution Act because the city does a 90-10 insurance split, which I believe we're locked into with our union contract for at least, I think, at least another year, we're required to pass a resolution that exempts us from the requirements of the Act for January 1, 2019 through December 31 of 2019. So that's what you have before you.
And we've done this
Since 2012,
Yeah.
or excuse me, 2012.
every year.
Yep.
Okay. Is there any discussion from council? Okay. Seeing none, we'll have a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Reed, Brown,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes, we've approved the exemption from the 2080 to the 9010 for the next calendar year. Item B, West Approval Resolution 2018-29 to adopt a local pavement warranty program. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Support.
Who wants to address the state requirement? Do you want to address it? City Manager.
The local agency pavement warranty program is a program that has been put in place by the Michigan legislature, and it was created requirement that each local road agency in Michigan adopt a local pavement warranty program acceptable to Michigan's Department of Transportation. The resulting from the Michigan Local Agency Pavement Warranty Program is that statewide accepted format that local agencies can use for hot mix asphalt and plain jointed concrete paving projects in public roads and streets if they opt to utilize a warranty on the project. Every community must consider a warranty on each project utilizing any state or federal funding that also includes $2 million or more in paving-related components. Communities must annually report on projects with $2 million or more in paving-related items, regardless of whether they implemented a warranty or not. So we would have to follow these rules, whether we have a local pavement program or not. We still have to report to the state. So it's something that the state has been asking all of the local municipalities to participate in.
Okay. Councilmember French.
What does the warranty do aside from being a piece of paper that we signed off on?
What makes the contractors have to be responsible for the type of pavement that they utilize on these particular projects, and they have to report on that as well.
So is it just the identity of the products, but also a time frame for the duration of the road? Or
Absolutely, because they have to make sure that it stands up a certain period of time
Right.
Associated with it.
And is that a function of the material used, or is that a function of a state? So like asphalt will last 8 years, concrete will last 20 years, that kind of thing? Is that pre-established, or is that something that we get to decide on? Or?
It's pre-established in the state.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. So would that be, it does not matter what just the degree or the depth of the pavement that we do, if we did is there a certain amount, like a 10 by 10 or a road, or please explain to me?
It's really based on the amount of money that we spend on projects. If it's $2 million or more, we have to report. We still have to report what type of materials we use. The contractor still has to meet any state requirements for building these roads. So
It's about spending a certain amount of money.
yes.
Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Reed.
Okay, who guarantees, I mean, if you did something and it did not turn out right, like the streets found out, if you did something and it did not turn out right, who would be responsible? The party?
That would be the purpose of the insurance, and also a warranty to ensure that the work is done properly and up to code by the state. If the road does not stand during the time that it is supposed to stand up, we find out, say we spend $2 million repairing a road. The concrete asphalt breaks up and it does not meet certain code standards. We would be able to call the contractor to ensure that that work was done properly.
Okay. Is there any further discussion from council? Okay. Seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Mayor Brown.
Yes, we have passed Resolution 2018-29. Agenda item C, request approval of Resolution 2018-30 to implement a local pavement warranty program. Is there a motion?
Wait, we just did that.
No, that was B.
So moved.
Is there a
To
second?
adopt versus second, yeah.
Okay. Is there any discussion? This is tied to the item B. If there's no further discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Brown,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes, we've approved Resolution 2018-30. Item D, request approval of contract with Moore and Brugint?
I think it's Brugink.
Brugink, okay. For water and wastewater utility road map. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
It's Moore and Brugink.
Oh,
just for the record. Basically what that is we've asked Moore and Brugink to help us out in locating the licensed people that we need for the wastewater treatment plant and also the water treatment plant.
okay.
They have recommended that we use Infrastructure Alternatives Incorporated, and we need to enter into a contract with them for basically time and material on a month-to-month basis. So as we license and some of our people license, they would just basically fall away, is our plan or our goal at this moment. But that is with Infrastructure Alternatives, and that's a contract that we would need to enter to be compliant with the state law. The other part of it with Moore and Brugink then is to look into do a water reliability study through the water treatment plant. The treatment plant was built in about 2003, I believe. Is that the wrong date?
The what?
Was it longer than that, 2001?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's earlier.
Okay. But it's been a long time. We need a water reliability study done. There's been a lot of changes that have been made to the plant through the years. So what we're asking Moore and Brugink to do is go back through the original documentation, take a look at where we're at today and what we need to do to move us into the future for our water and our water treatment. So those are the two items, basically.
Okay. Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. Have we utilized Moore and Brugink?
Brugink?
Yes.
No, we have not utilized them before.
But they come highly recommended?
They do come highly recommended, yes. They work with several municipalities in the area, and that's how I've gotten to know them. Feel just a good, trusting relationship there. And I've had them in to meet with Miss Rufus. So we've sat down and talked quite a bit. And it's another route for us. We do use Whiteman and Associates for quite a bit of our engineering, but I'm one of those kind of people, I don't like to put all my eggs in one basket, so to speak. So if we can start pulling in another engineering firm to kind of help us and see where we're at, that's what I'm looking for.
Councilmember Brown, Councilmember French.
Just one quick
Oh, go ahead.
Is there an amount, or we don't have an amount yet?
The amount, well, the amount for the Infrastructure Alternatives contract is $75 an hour.
Okay.
It's time and material, though. They are only required to be here one day a week or one on-site visit per week by the state law. And then any time that we call or have them come in, we would also be charged on a time and material basis. The bottom line is we have people who can run our places. We just aren't licensed to run them yet. So we're going to operate under their license, so to speak. So they won't be here 24 hours a day.
Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm looking at the contract and I see the $75 per hour and not to exceed $35 per month.
That's correct.
So my question is, how much have we budgeted for this?
We've just begun to start this particular process. Right now, if you know, Mr. Lennerson has resigned, and he held the license for us to actually do this particular, he has a license to be able to run the water treatment plant. However, currently, I believe his last date of employment is December 7th. And so that position is already in budget. We have put out the job descriptions for us to be able to, the postings, for us to hire someone in those positions. But we have to make sure we are in compliance by the state, and that is why we would like to go into contract with them.
And if we don't exceed the amount that is listed for the monthly basis, it's far less than what we're paying for the director as it amounts to right now. So it is a pretty good bargain, I think, for the city. The other water reliability study is a separate issue, and that's not to exceed, I believe, $7,500.
Councilmember French.
Thank you.
So as we approve the expenditures of thousands of dollars, the question that comes around is, did we put this engineering out to bid? That is officially the policy of the city. So that's the question.
Turner.
Since it's engineering, it's exempt from the bid process. We're only required to request proposals.
And it went out for request for proposals?
We have gone out for request for proposals, yeah.
And that's for professional services.
There's certain, accounting, legal, engineering, architect.
Right.
There's like a category of like 5 things that are exempt from the bid process.
Okay. Thank you.
One question I know, the council, I think in previous years has budgeted, incentivized.
Licensure.
Yes. And I guess I'd be curious about how successful we've been in doing that. Do you anticipate that anyone's going to really?
We do.
Okay.
We had 2 wastewater operators test for their D license that are fairly new with us.
Okay.
And then there's always time requirements in that. They could test immediately for their C license, but then have to work for a year before they can test for their B license.
Okay.
We have a D3 S3 water operator and an S4, I believe it's an S4 water operator. Okay. The D3 S3 water operator has tested for his S4, I believe it is. So we are moving in that direction, and there is some newer people that are looking to test, but even in wastewater, it takes 1 full year before they can take the first examination.
Okay. Are there any further questions from council this evening? Councilmember French.
I just want to thank you for your efforts. I mean, I think if we're down staff, you got to outsource it as needed just to be compliant. So I'm actually really excited about getting the assessments that we need, because this will all tie into the new water tower and all the other infrastructure issues that are going to be coming down the pipe. I also like the idea that we're saving a little money by using the salary line item from the position that's vacant to help pay for these resources, and I like the idea that we're saving a little money there too. So thank you for your efforts in making it all work.
Sure, you're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no further, thank you. Seeing no further discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote.
Councilmember Spicer,
Yes.
French,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes, we've approved the contract with Moore and Virgink for wastewater utility roadmap. Item E, request approval of contract with Infrastructure Alternatives, Inc. for water management assistance.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion? That was addressed in the previous comments. Okay. Seeing no further discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes, we've approved the contract with Infrastructure Alternatives. Item F, request approval resolution 2018-31. This is a resolution to approve bid and entry into an agreement with Revitalize LLC for administrative consulting services as a third-party community development block grant administrator.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Urban Street, we're doing, have utilizing CDBG monies to redo Irwin Street. And per state guidelines, we have to have a third-party grant administrator. The companies that were assisting in this process did go out to look for a consultant. Revitalize is the company that was chosen. Actually, I think really the only company that applies to be the third-party grant administrator. Me and the staff have met with the individuals from Revitalize, and we're able to talk about this CDBG project along with others. And so we would recommend that the council would approve this particular line item.
Is there any discussion from council? Okay. I would, normally with these things, because they're administrative in nature, we designate the manager as the contact person for that, so I'd ask for amendment just to make that clear. The point of contact for the contract. Is there a motion for that amendment? Councilmember French.
I would support a motion that where we assign the city manager as the contact person for Revitalize move in this agreement.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on the amendment? Okay. All those in favor say yes. Yes. Any opposed? Okay. The amendment passes. We're back to the main motion with that amendment. Is there any further discussion? Yep. Okay. Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote on the main motion with that amendment.
Councilmember French,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes. We've approved Resolution 2018-31 relative to using Revitalize for consulting services for the CDBG grant for the Irwin Ave project. Item G, request approval, medical marijuana provisioning center license to Greenhouse Farms, Albion 1 LLC. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved in second. Director Tracy?
Tracy and the gentleman.
Oh.
He's also here. So
Okay.
they're both.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Who's going to speak?
I just want to remind the members of council, as I promised the clerk I would, before the meeting started, to after we finish this agenda item, if you would turn these applications back in, just a reminder.
Oh, right. Yes, I forgot about that. Thank you for the reminder.
Thank you.
John Tracy, Director of Planning, Building, and Code Enforcement. I just handed out a 2-page map of location. You can see for the application. Gary Goodman from Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, had applied for a provisioning facilities license. And the proposed location is 1410 North Eaton Street, which is a single-story building, roughly about 2,800 square feet. The application was originally received by city clerk's office as required. City clerk had then sent out the applicable sections, say Albion Public Safety, Planning Department, Finance Department, and of course the city attorney. After review of those 4 different departments, they were returned with approval. They then went before the Planning Board, Planning Commission on the 20th, last Tuesday. And the Planning Commission reviewed the application and recommendations and approved for it to be presented to the council. And the photos that you have there are of the location, distances. The facility meets the minimum requirements as far as from schools, residential, and any other religious institutions.
Okay. Is there any discussion from council this evening? Councilmember Brown, French, and Spicer.
Thank you, Mayor.
Sorry.
It's okay. So this will be the, if it's approved, will be the second provisioning center and the final that the city could approve, right?
The final provisioning center, yes.
Right, okay, thank you.
Councilmember French.
Maybe I'm missing it. I'm not seeing this in my packet. So did we get
There was a handout.
Yeah, the application.
Oh, it was on our desk. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. So then, Director Tracy, Mayor, we previously approved a provisioning center for the Burger King building, as well as the Morehead Garden. Am I correct?
The other provisioning center was approved for what is known as the old Burger King building, yes.
But nothing for the Morehead.
This one.
This is.
This one is.
Okay, cool.
This is the second of two, and there are only two allowed.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any further, are there any further questions from council? I do have one question. This would, with approval of this, how many licenses do we have left?
This would be the 14th application, but we had one facility pull out, so I believe this would make the 13th license, I think we'd issue.
Okay, so there'd be 7.
13th or 14th? Sorry, so it might be the 14th, so we have 6 left.
Okay, but there would be no other.
Correct. It could only be either grow, processing, transport, or safety compliance, no more provisioning.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Good evening. My name is David Gunsberg. I'm General Counsel and Vice President of Eaton Steel Bar Company. I'm here on behalf of the applicants, Mark and Gary Goodman, in case the group has any questions of us, anything they might want us to help you with as far as this application is concerned. That's why I'm here tonight. So,
Attorney Harkness.
I'd just like to say I wish every one of our applicants was as thorough and comprehensive as your company is, because it was awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Are there any questions from council? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So just to repeat what our attorney said earlier, we've had 13 or 14 licenses, but this will make 13 or 14. It would leave us, the city, with 6 left, but none of the remaining 6 can be for provisioning centers.
Correct.
I see no further discussion. Okay, we'll have a roll call vote.
Councilmember Reed,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Spicer,
Yes.
French,
No.
and Mayor Brown.
Yes, we've approved the license for provisioning center for a provisioning center for Greenhouse Farms. We'll move on to. We'll move on to the budget. Well,
It's
yeah, we have a couple of minutes here. Just 1 second.
Just take
The general fund. Huh?
Just take a 5-minute recess.
Okay, that's true. We'll take I'll ask for a motion for a 5-minute recess.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor say yes? Yes. Opposed? Okay, 5 minutes. Thank you.
We sent out the notices before we scheduled the special meeting. I bet that's what we, right?
Wow.
That's right. Oh, okay. They set it at 6 instead of 7. Yeah, I gotcha. I was trying to keep those straight with, because I knew you had said one pulled out, the one license he had filed, but then pulled out of Michigan. So I think that one put us at 14, and then this one put us back at 14.